Hello everyone, welcome back to the Hindu Explainer series. I am Kushagra Goel. And on March 13, we have one major update from international front and two major updates from national front, right? On constitutional aspect. Both of them become important for you from different sections, right? One from your current affairs directly and one incidental to your constitution and legal section of the CLAT examination, right? And apart from that, we have various updates, right? And we will be covering them. I will be doing an in-depth analysis of the incident constitutional ones and explaining at the onset what the international news is, right? So on that point, we will begin with today's newspaper. So on the front page, yesterday took place the first virtual Quad summit, right? Hosted by United States. The first Quad summit took place at a state of leaders level, right? The ones who are most important in the country were the ones who took part in this summit, right? So what is Quad? Quad is a grouping of 4 nations: United States of America, India, Australia and Japan, right? And yesterday, as the first summit took place, we came to know what is the agenda of Quad, right? So all the leaders talked about Indo-Pacific region. Indo-Pacific region is the one that comprises of the Indian Ocean. Majority of the world trade, majority of the world population resides in the region surrounding Indo-Pacific, right? And the leaders did not name any particular country against whom this is, right? And they talked about climate change, good governance, upholding universal rule of law and free and fair system of international law, along with vaccines and climate change as primary focus of Quad, right? So that was setting the agenda, right? There is no permanent body of Quad, that is, there is no permanent residence where Quad is, no permanent secretariat that has been announced, all right? But this is the beginning of it, right? This is the beginning, this is how the agenda has been set, all right? So it becomes important for us to note it down as to what have been enshrined in Quad, all right? So on that, vaccines, climate change, emerging tech, international law and free and fair Indo-Pacific region, all right? That becomes one important news for us. There is one response of China and more details. When we come across those articles, we will take a look at them, right? Then on the front page, the second news is from the Supreme Court. It came out with the judgment which has held bureaucrats cannot be state election commissioners as per Supreme Court. State election commissions have the responsibility of undertaking, conducting and formulating rules for elections of panchayats and municipalities, all right? Rural and urban elections, all right? So on that point, Supreme Court has come out with the judgment. We will be talking about the constitutional rules about this in an in-depth analysis. So stay tuned for that, right? Then moving on, front page, Novavax reports 96% efficacy on original virus, all right? So Novavax is a company, US-based company. Serum Institute of India is contracted to manufacture the vaccines. The vaccine's efficacy report is finally out, all right? So what all do we need to know about this? One, this vaccine has 96% efficacy and 100% efficacy against severe COVID-19 cases. That is, no hospitalization needed. Along with that, this trial of Novavax also included testing on HIV positive cases, all right? And within that also there was 50% plus efficacy of the vaccine. And plus, the vaccine trial also has efficacy, proven efficacy against the UK strain of the coronavirus. All right, so this is positive news. As new vaccines come in, the fight against COVID-19 gets stronger and stronger, right? Then moving on, on the national news, nothing of real note. Permanent structures are coming up at the borders at Delhi, where farmers have been protesting as 3 months have passed and the central government has not paid heed to their demands. No conversation taking place there. All right. Then on the national news, nothing of real note. Budgets from different state governments, discussions about that, not relevant for us, right? Then as more COVID cases rise. No lockdown. However, schools and colleges have been shut in states. All right. As people start taking the precautions against COVID-19 lightly, it was expected that the cases would rise. All right. So that is on expected lines. Then here on this page, there is a small news. Uttarakhand's new CM constitutes cabinet, 11 ministers sworn in. All right. This is something, the second incidental constitutional news that we will be discussing in depth analysis. All right. So stay tuned for that. Right. Then moving on the editorial front. On the editorial front, on the left hand side, a moral test. This is about vaccine nationalism. What is vaccine nationalism? Countries, one, focusing on COVID vaccines only for their population. Second, having more vaccines contracted by pharmaceutical companies than they actually need. All right, so that is the first theme. The second theme is about India and its vaccinization drive. So India has been a bright light against vaccine nationalism. We have been donating vaccines, providing access to vaccines to different countries. Approximately 536 lakh doses of COVID vaccines have been distributed by India to other countries. However, on the planned target of India vaccinating its own population, the strength that we have is to vaccinate 5.4 million people per day. However, we are working way below that bracket. All right. And we have only vaccinated 0.3% of our population. All right. So that is one news that we need to keep working on. For those who all the viewers who have family members who are eligible to take COVID vaccines, ensure that you ask them to go to COVID vaccination centers and take up COVID vaccines, right? Then two bad options. What is this about? This is about the options that confront the Afghanistan government. This is the options for the democratic government of Afghanistan. One, United States want to leave. They want to leave by May 1st. All right. Now, US has proposed different countries to be part of the post-US withdrawal system. That is, whatever is agreed, that is, if for example a status quo, that Taliban and the democratic government will rule Afghanistan together, the responsibility to ensure that this agreement stays is not now just on United States, but it has proposed that other countries should be part of it. That is, Pakistan, China, India, Iran, Russia, right? All these countries should also be ensuring and keeping pressure on Taliban. So that is one thing. The second is, this is an acceptance that Taliban, or the grim reality of Afghanistan, that is, Taliban is on a rise, it has powerful strength, and that the fact that US wants other countries to be there or ensure that Taliban does not extend is that there is a real risk. If Afghanistan government does not take up this option, there is full likelihood of Taliban actually taking over all the territories of Afghanistan and bringing Afghanistan under its control directly. All right. So these are two bad options. One, in case US leaves without acknowledgement, without agreeing Taliban into any agreement, there is risk of Taliban taking over the entire territory, or the next best option is to share power with Taliban, something they had been fighting against for years, right? So these are two bad options. Now, a lot of you had doubts about this. Why can't Afghanistan, or why does it need to share government? Is because one, it does not have the military strength to fight off Taliban. Secondly, the countries that have been there or have been invited to be in the region are ones who are in close contact. Taliban has close contact with the Pakistan government. Afghanistan government has close contact with India. So if there are multiple foreign countries, they will collectively ensure that whatever is agreed is sustained and sustained in the long term. All right. So we have to see what is finally agreed, right? But as of right now, this is the option that they face. Then the second editorial here talks about Desert Flag. Desert Flag is a multi-nation military exercise under which Indian Air Force is participating. It is being hosted by United Arab Emirates and different countries, that is UAE, Bahrain, France, Saudi Arabia, South Korea and United States are participating in it. What then the editorial moves on and says is talking about the complexities of politics in that is West Asia or Middle Eastern region, right? That how countries who are in this list stand for different things but are coming together. What this tells us is that one, the overall power of United States as a world power is reducing. There are further complexities in the region, that is South Korea, India, who are closer to Iran, are also participating in this exercise, which shows that there is no just one agenda of each country. There are no just one friend of each country. You can have multiple friends for different things, right? Then the main editorial here, the new media rules are tightening news. This is a point-by-point criticism of the new media rules ethics code that the government has brought in 2021, right? Then, however, we will not discuss this part of the series because one, these are not facts, all right? Two, the update we have is Kerala and Delhi High Court have accepted petitions for challenge against this. What the court determines becomes more relevant as to why or whether these rules are problematic or not, all right? So we, as part of the series, is focused on facts, all right? Speculation, opinions do not matter for us, all right? Only facts, and this is not fact, this is an opinion of a particular person and not court opinion also. Therefore, we will not be discussing this here, right? Then moving on the OPED pay. All right, moving on, other national news, assembly elections, national news, political news, not relevant for us. Who is expecting whom? All right, not relevant. Then moving on the left-hand side, Quad leaders, more updates about their statements that it is on apex level. And what is Quad? How has it been described? Quad does not stand against anything, which is that we are not against any one country, one kind of thing. It stands for something, all right? It is not against anything. It stands for certain principles that the leaders have highlighted, all right? Why will this become relevant is from the other international news article, which is stated here. Exclusive blocks. Blocks are arrangements of different countries. What block is being referred here? It is the Quad block, all right? And then Zhao Linjiang, representative of the Chinese government, all right, responding to Quad, he states that, see, all these countries are not on the same page. They have different policies vis-a-vis China. Quad is just beginning. They have no one united agenda against China. Secondly, if we question India whether it is a military tactic against China, they will say no. If it is a tactic to corner China out of world economy, then also it will be a no, all right? So in relation to the statement that Quad does not stand against anything, that is that it is not against China and it stands for certain principles, all right? As it is beginning, it is too early to speculate what will happen. Then moving on, other updates from LAC. Talks have been taking place between India and China, but no real updates about that, all right? Then moving on the left-hand side, maths, physics no longer must for engineering admissions. That is All India Council for Technical Education for 2021 to 2022 admissions in engineering colleges. As per the new national education policy, a list of subjects have been provided now for admission into engineering colleges, all right? So good news for those who are non-engineering backgrounds and at some point of time want to undertake technical education. If you qualify for these subjects, you can participate in engineering colleges, right? Then stop influx from Myanmar. This is the update from Ministry of Home Affairs. They are making a remark. As more people cross over from the border of Myanmar to northeastern states seeking refuge. Refuge are those people who want to leave their home country in anticipation of or risk on their lives vis-a-vis violence in their home state, all right? Now, the central government has responded that the state governments cannot determine whether the people crossing over from borders are refugees or not. Only the central government can decide that, and as of right now they have not granted refugee status to those people. All right. Then moving on, Prime Minister Modi flagged off a Padyatra to commemorate Salt March. This is beginning of the 75th anniversary celebrations for our independence that finishes or has a date on 2022. 5 themes of the celebrations as iterated by the Prime Minister: freedom struggle, ideas at 75, achievements at 75, actions at 75, and resolves at 75. 5 themes: freedom struggle, achievements, resolve, ideas, and actions. All right. So these are 5 things Prime Minister Modi flagged off the march to commemorate the Dandi March that our father of nation Mahatma Gandhi undertook, marking the beginning of the second national movement against British, which was the civil disobedience movement. The march was against the salt tax that the British government had imposed on the population. The march was from his Sabarmati ashram in Ahmedabad to Dandi as a seaport location in Gujarat. All right. Then on the left hand side, the first judge to be directly appointed from the bar. All right. That is Justice Indu Malhotra, retired yesterday. Judges can be appointed either from promotion at High Court, or advocates who have experience on long term, they can be appointed directly, all right, as Supreme Court judges. Indu Malhotra attained the age of 65 and therefore got retirement, right? So she was part of 2 important judgments. One, the Sabrimala judgment. She was the lone dissenting one. And then she was also part of the bench that declared homosexuality as constitutional in India. All right. Then moving on the international page, Russia has stated its consent for an inclusion of Taliban in the government of Afghanistan. That is the 50-50 offer that US has made for Taliban and the democratic government to be on the same page. Russia has given its stand on that point. All right. And Joe Biden has given that this is US political news about inclusion of adults in COVID vaccines and retaining normalization as fast as possible. Then this is the controversy that is now brewing in the BIMSTEC summit. BIMSTEC becomes relevant. India is part of BIMSTEC. BIMSTEC leaders were invited to the swearing-in ceremony of Prime Minister Modi in 2019. Virtual summit of BIMSTEC is due in April. For that, Myanmar, which has recently been taken over by military and removing the democratic government there, is also part of the group. All right. And Sri Lankan government has extended the invitation to Myanmar. Now, internal politics has begun there, whether such an invitation should be extended, because is the military government legitimate, or military takeover should be recognized by other democratic countries of the group or not. Other countries have not yet disclosed their stand about this. All right. This is ongoing, and once we have final details, we will discuss this. All right. As things stand, BIMSTEC member, that is Myanmar, has been invited by the host country of the summit, that is Sri Lanka, for the virtual summit of BIMSTEC due in April 2021. All right. Then moving on the economic news, nothing of real note, and on the sporting front too. Right. Then moving on to the in-depth news. The first one is Uttarakhand Chief Minister constitutes cabinet. This is talking about the power of and determining who advises or selects the cabinet ministers. We had talked about that first. Under Article 163 of the Constitution, the governor has to have a chief minister and the Council of Ministers to aid and advise. All right. Under Article 164(1), that is Clause 1, other provisions as to ministers. 2 things become relevant. First, the chief minister shall be appointed by the governor. All right. So that is the first thing. The Chief Minister, that is the new one, 9th Chief Minister of Uttarakhand, was appointed by the Governor of Uttarakhand. Alright, first clause satisfied. The second part of it is that the other ministers who have now taken swearing in ceremony or participated are appointed by the governor, but they are appointed on the advice of the Chief Minister. So the new Chief Minister tells the governor who all will be part of his Council of Ministers, and they will be the ones that will be invited and appointed by the governor as the Chief Council of Ministers of the particular state. Alright, so exclusive power of CM in appointment of ministers. Alright, under Article 164 clause 1. Alright, so that is the constitutional provision that you need to be aware of. Then moving on, the judgment about non-appointment of bureaucrats in State Election Commission. Alright, so what are the constitutional provisions that govern it? Under Article 243K clause 1 and Article 243ZA clause 1, which relates to elections to Panchayat and elections to municipality. Alright, superintendent's direction and control of elections of Panchayat and municipality is to be done by which organization? State Election Commission. Alright, and who does this is by State Election Commissioners who are appointed by the governor. Alright, so this is the constitutional provision. These constitutional provisions only mention that they are to be appointed by governor, and their removal is similar to that of judges of High Court. Alright, the grounds are similar. Nothing about their tenure or qualifications is mentioned in the constitution. Alright, on that, the Supreme Court has given a judgment now that bureaucrats, currently employees of the government, cannot be appointed as state election commissioners. Alright, Supreme Court has called this a mockery of the constitution to appoint bureaucrats, because bureaucrats, if someone is under the state government and the state government is, or the party that heads the state government is also contesting elections, how can you expect this person to act free and fairly? Alright, if he does something that affects the ruling party, his employment at the state government level will be conflicted. Alright, therefore immediately all government bureaucrats who have been appointed as state election commissioners have to give up their position, and the state government along with the governor has to now appoint independent people as state election commissioners. Alright, so two things become relevant: the provisions under which elections are highlighted to panchayats and municipalities, and secondly about state election commissioners. One, they are appointed by governor. Constitution does not talk about their qualifications or how they are appointed, anything within there. The only limitation is their removal cannot or is on the same grounds as High Court judges. The Supreme Court has given an update that government employees or bureaucrats cannot be appointed as state election commissioners. So constitutional provision and the judgment. Alright, that becomes relevant. If you have any doubts about any of this, put it in the comment section and I will address them. Alright, on that point we will conclude for the day. In today's newspaper, 2 constitutional, 1 international news, very important. 2 of them: power of Chief Minister to select his Council of Ministers. Then Supreme Court's under Article 243 Clause A and ZA about elections, State Election Commission and State Election Commissioners. Alright. Third, about the Quad Summit. Alright, what has been iterated, what are the things about Quad. Fourth, Novavax has been approved, its efficacy. Serum Institute is the one that will manufacture it. Alright. On that note, I will conclude for the day. If you have any doubts, put it in the comment section. And lastly, if you like the work that we are doing, please give us a thumbs up. And if you are new to the channel, do subscribe and hit the bell icon so that you don't miss the update for tomorrow.